get started. Ready.
Welcome. All quiet.
Welcome. This is the Genesee County Compassion Club. Thanks for coming in today, Shaun.
You are on, you know that, right?
Yeah, I know. I'm getting a little bit of bouncing here. If I get my cord unstuck. There we go. And I need to turn this down. Mr. Moss had it cranking because he lived large. All right.
He wanted to hear himself.
Yeah. I think I
make sure.
So we cut it out there. There, that's better. All right. Check. Sorry about that, folks. All right. Welcome. This is Genesee County Compassion Club Show. Back in the studio here at All Points TV. I got a special guest with me today, Mr. Shaun, 710 Savant.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming to the
Always a pleasure.
We're glad to have you in the studio with us today. We're doing a special episode. This is probably the final episode of 2019 for the Genesee County Compassion Club show. And, man, I'm glad to have you here with me making it happen.
Man, I love doing anything that involves the G3C. It's been, my home. It's where I started. It's where my name, pretty much, it's where I made my name. It's, so anything to do with the G3C, I'm always all about it.
Oh, we definitely appreciate it, man. I know you've been a long-time member. Do you know how many years you've been a member?
2014 was my official year.
Okay.
Yeah, I kind of drug my feet for a little while, waited for a lot of people to, You
weren't right out the gate.
I wasn't right out the gate, no. I think I wanted to get involved more in probably 2012, 2013, but I was a little hesitant around that time,
Right.
I was still doing construction and still had a full-time job, so didn't really know if I wanted to get into the growing or
right
or whatnot, but yeah.
We're glad you did.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very glad I've always grown, my whole life. I mean, ever since I was 13, my stepdad got me involved with it. We did a lot of, closet grows, outdoor type grows.
As a lot of folks did, got their feet wet.
Probably didn't use nowhere near the technology, obviously, and the nutrients and the things that we have available today, but we did pretty good with what we had.
Yeah, absolutely. As we all did. As we all tried to.
Yeah.
Hey, well, before we get going, I want to get into our announcements, let you guys know what's happening down at the club. Of course, we got holidays going on, holiday hours, holiday festivities. So let's get going. We'll bust out through these. First thing I definitely want to make mention of is our soup kitchen. That's always going on third Tuesday of every month. You guys can help volunteer down at the North End Charities. We really appreciate it. This month's no different. And definitely thank you, Mr. Matt, who makes it happen every month. And it's a privilege for us to be a part of it. So thank you. Next thing I definitely want to mention is the holiday Pause for Cause. You guys seen the tree up at the club. We're collecting pet items. It goes to the Genesee County Humane Society. So anything that you can use for pets, anything. And we'll take it, we'll give it to them, whether it be food or clothing, bedding, you name it. We're glad to give it to them, and they're glad to accept it. So I don't want to talk too much about that. We talked about it last week. But anyways, we love our furry friends, and definitely there's still time left to donate for that. So bring your stuff into the club. Let's see. Holiday hours. We have Christmas Eve. We're going to be open till 4. So closing at 4 p.m. on Christmas Eve, closed on Christmas, and closed on New Year's Day. New Year's Eve, regular hours. So till 8 p.m. on New Year's Eve. So just basically the 2 days off and a short day on Christmas Eve. It's the only difference, only change for club hours. So you guys can share that with your friends. Let them know if you're trying to get out there during the holidays.
People still need access. It's the holidays, man.
You never know.
I mean, you shut it down and people are bah humbug,
It's true. It's true. And, we're not quite to the toilet paper mentality yet. There's a difference in groceries, right? If you run out of mustard, it's not that big a deal, but you put it on the list or you make it a point to get the mustard, right? But you don't run out of toilet paper, do you? Right?
Very, very often.
Okay, you make sure you got some of that.
Well, you don't have kids. Oh, wait, yeah, you do.
I do. So you do not run out of toilet paper. But yeah, no, we definitely want to be accessible, and we're glad we can be there, but we're also glad that our members and our staff can have a day off with their families and so on. So,
yeah.
All right. Let's bust out into the news. I got a couple different things I want first thing, let me pull this up here for you. These are the most recent recalls for recreational marijuana. Of course, as a caregiver, have you ever had your marijuana recalled?
No.
Just checking.
No. I did see the recalls. Are you talking about the vape products?
Yeah, there was a
vitamin E acetate and all that.
Yes. And how
a lot of them carts that I'm seeing are these, black market carts that they're using like the cereal brand boxes, and the distillate, nobody knows where it comes from. None of it has a lab everything on it, but none of that is even real. You know what I mean? There's just so much black market carts going around.
Well, it seems kind of funny that as a processing center, you have the ability to purchase from caregivers.
Yes.
And obviously, if it's coming from a licensed facility, you would assume that it's going to be processed in a manner which would not issue a recall.
Correct.
But if if you did get it from a caregiver, it still has to go through the testing process. That's why a caregiver can't sell directly to a dispensary or whatever you want to call it. But they can sell to a processing center. So that's why that is so it has that opportunity to be tagged and in the metric system to be tested. But yet these dispensaries go put it on the shelf right away before they even get the test results. Half the time product's already gone, consumed.
Yeah.
And then they're told, "Oh, sorry, you didn't pass test results."
I'm not 100% for sure, but I think what might be in part too was there wasn't a proper way to test for vitamin E acetate until just recently.
They just figured that out?
So maybe they were taking in, and then someone did like a mystery shop type thing, maybe bought one, sent it in and had it tested. I'm not sure exactly how Lara's getting a hold of these and then finding out that they're bad. Maybe they're going around themselves and doing background checks on certain things and doing labs. I'm not 100% for sure.
Well, from my understanding, the way that it's happening is that, again, the caregivers are bringing in the product into the processing center. Processing center is then in turn
that should have never got brought in. Pretty much.
Right, maybe testing center or something.
Who's at fault for that? You think? Yes, the people who probably accepted it, took it in. They, obviously they didn't do enough due diligence to make sure that it was like I say, it could have happened before there was actually proper testing to detect that vitamin E acetate.
Seems
but
inherently simple that if you're going to have a product tested in order for it to be on the market, and it has to be tested, that it would be in fact tested and approved prior to the sale of that item.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
What good does it do to give somebody test results 2 weeks after they purchased it?
That's what they're doing. Yeah, because it was probably approved through their standard of testing at the moment when they took it in, and then recently they adapted this new process, and then they detected it. And
you're right, it is vitamin E. I've got the list here. We've got and these are from. This is from the state here. I'm looking at woodtv.com, but it's got Elite Wellness in Bay City, Fruit Loops, Tricks, Frankenberry, Dank Vape, 1G, Durban Poison, Mimosa, Tangy. These are all vape carts, all containing vitamin E detected.
In the majority of them, like I say, you can tell right away when they list the cereal flavor names. It's a certain anybody can go online and buy that packaging.
Right.
That same exact packaging. Mm-hmm. I could go on there and buy it, slap some crap in there, and sell on the market. Nobody would ever know. Which, not that I do. I'm just saying that's how it's happening. That's how it's happening.
Right. Exactly. And I think that a lot of people have no idea about that.
No, they don't. They look at the cool packaging. It's got a cartoon on it, and oh my God, you know what I mean?
This must be top shelf.
Gotta be.
Must be.
Reminds me of my childhood. You gotta have it, that's the mentality.
Guaranteed box again.
Yeah.
So there's the...
Everybody just needs to do their job and do some... It's their health, it's their lungs, it's their body. Regardless of what they think or see, you need to do some background checks on your own and make sure that the companies that you're dealing with are credible companies that ain't going to give you some trash.
And I think that's part of the problem where I see is that in this system they've built this layer of what they think is infallibility. Now that they've paid the fees, these guys are licensed, so they are the upper echelon, as they describe themselves, of the cannabis industry.
Yeah.
And then consumers seem to feel like there is this guarantee that if I get a product from this place, it's tested, it's verified, it's quality, and I'm, I might be overpaying for it, but at least I know these things, right?
Right.
But that's not the case. That's not what they're getting. They're still getting products recalled, and they're not getting products that are guaranteed to be any better than anything else.
Yeah, it should never be a recall situation. It should just either be...
It shouldn't be on the shelf.
It should have never hit the shelf.
Yeah,
and
I would have to agree.
They're either just now adapting these processes, which is wrong too. I mean, you gotta start with a foundation. You can't just
and we all
wing
know
it.
that at the beginning of the program there were delays in getting it started. I mean, you can't just have a facility approved for 500 plants and expect it to bust them out the next day.
Right.
There's no reason that they couldn't have originally built that delay in from the very beginning, and you wouldn't even notice it at this time.
No.
If you had to wait 2 weeks for your test results to come back.
And what's 2 weeks when you're talking a month veg, month and a half, 2 months veg,
they've
and
had
2 months
licensed
bloom,
facilities now since 2016. Now, granted, they didn't exist right away, but the law was passed 2016. That's plenty of time for them to figure this process out and to have stuff in the pipeline, if you will, that's tested, verified. All right, moving on here. That is the recalls. Thankfully, there's no recalls on caregiver weed.
Yeah.
Just pointing that out there. The other article that came out here, this is Michigan's recreational market, whatever. We've been on the market since December 1st. Reports now on MLive as of today, we're just showing over $3 million sold in recreational sales since the beginning of December. It's a total of 16 retail locations that have now been approved. Of course, some of them are not even open yet, mind you.
Some of them have just
got
been
their
approved.
right? So the majority of these sales have all consisted from just a mere handful of places, actually about 5 or less. And that's basically where the sales have come from. States generated over $515,000 in taxes so far, and that's the numbers in a nutshell for you. There was an article in here that I thought maybe we could discuss a little bit from Cranes of Detroit, talking about Robin Schneider, who's a pretty well-known cannabis activist. And she's basically coming out in the article and saying, and I'll give you the headline here, it says, "We should be much further along in our industry than we are, but the state botched this rollout." And she's talking about the recreational rollout. And I guess some of the concerns that I've been hearing, although I haven't been able to verify any of them, is just the fact that because of the recreational now being available, and because the state allowing these facilities to transfer 50% of their inventory from patient medication to recreational, that it's caused this upheaval in patient medicine prices and availability. To report, some of these places now that have opened up for recreational sales sold out of their supply within a few days and were simply out until they were able to ante up again. I guess my point I would want to make is, if you were only able to transfer 50% of your inventory, shouldn't you still have the other 50% for patients?
Yeah.
And if there have only been 5 or 6 places realistically that have been open and have been the beneficiaries of this $3 million in sales we just talked about, how could that possibly affect our patients' supply? It seems to me that that's a very small amount, very small portion of...
Should be a little more prepared for it, is what you're saying.
I guess what I'm saying is, I don't see... If patients' supplies have been affected, if their prices have been affected, I don't see how that is a direct correlation to the recreational market as of yet.
Yeah.
I don't see how your patients' prices could instantly go up just because somebody opened a store up in one part of the state.
They're like the supply and demand type thing.
Everybody out there is wanting to play the gas station game.
Yeah, that's what's happening. I mean, it's sad. It
is sad. I don't mind it if it's on the recreational side, I guess. You know what I mean?
Well,
do I think you're smart as a consumer?
I feel like recreational should be the same product that a medical patient gets. The same lab testing, the same quality, the same everything. You just pay a different tax. that occurs, that's how they pay for a lot of their other fees and other things that they got to go into it. But I don't see, like, most people are afraid. They're thinking, well, does recreational mean that we get all the stuff that doesn't pass for medical and all the bull crap, and I'm like,
no, that's not the case either.
No, it's no.
But I see what you're saying with the as far as the pricing goes. It doesn't seem like there should really be a price in the product per se between medical and recreational. Definitely going to be a difference when you add in the taxes.
Right. Should still be the same process that occurs to go into it, the same love and care and everything. So the fees shouldn't be, to manufacture it, shouldn't be too much different.
You wouldn't think so. They do have additional fees for being a recreational facility.
Yeah, you're going to pay different taxes in order to manufacture it for recreational purposes.
Right.
So you'll have to incur that into your fees too. But, for the most part, I feel like for what you produce for medical and what you produce for recreational, there's no real difference. I think it's the taxes that are being applied.
I would agree 100%.
So they shouldn't be extorting people and saying, well, there's a shortage now because we're taking some of this supply and we're going into recreational. So, if you're a medical patient and you need it, now you got to pay this extra tax. That's not right.
Yeah, no, I think you're pointing out exactly what I'm trying to say is that they're just taking advantage of a situation.
Yeah, it's like you said, exactly, all wrapped up in a nutshell. It's like the gas station,
I think
wars.
So too. So patients, be wary, be wise. Don't let somebody sell you down the road. There's really no reason you should even have to consider those fees and prices if you've got a caregiver. But at any rate, don't believe all the hoopla, I guess is what I would say. And as far as this article goes, in criticizing Michigan's rollout of the recreational market, we could always be critical. I guess I would point and look at the 16 licenses that we already have by the state since December 1st, really, right? And
the shops?
Yeah, recreational. And that's 16 retail, plus you've got processors and growers and a couple testing labs that have been approved as well. So we're talking 25 plus licenses maybe that have been issued so far for recreational. Look at how many licenses and how long it took them to license the MMFLA facilities.
Yeah.
And it took months and months, and they went through at 4 and sometimes 2 at a time. So I would say the state's made some big improvements in their processes. I don't want to give the state too many pats on the back, but clearly, Andrew Brisboe, who's been the guy in charge since the beginning, really, he's making a turnaround. It's, to me, the difference is we don't have this pesky board sitting in between playing judge, jury, and executioner.
That's what it is.
The state's actually able to
starting to move forward a little faster.
Absolutely.
The process. And I wanted to point that out. I've always been caregiver, and I'm planning to be a commercial business here soon too. So it's kind of like the gray area where you step over the line. Do you want to stay? For me, it was the whole legitimacy to it, bringing the legitimacy. Not that being a caregiver isn't, but just being able to, I wanted to be like the Samuel Adams in the marijuana industry. That's been my dream. I've always wanted to be
that microbrew,
like a micro brand, on a bigger scale level. And, it's never changed. And I've always known that in order to do that, I was going to have to make that step to go into the commercialization.
Right.
You can just only do so much as a caregiver.
That's right.
And even in your conscience, we've been brands and we've done this hustle type thing our whole lives. You know what I mean? At some point, I just want to make it legitimate. That's all. That's my whole approach to it. Everybody has a different angle, different look at the movement. But I'm going to be dealing with all this same stuff that you're talking about right here, trying to get product into shops. The only thing I can say is, the proof's in the pudding. We do the due diligence to make sure we don't get something out to the patients that isn't good, and then find out later that we get a recall. Shit happens, but that's different. You're talking people's lives. When you got deaths that are showing up from the vitamin E acetate, and they've proven it to come from that source.
It's pretty serious.
And they're still finding it in these shops. So, it's not a joking matter,
It seems like, number one, it shouldn't be happening. and number two, it shouldn't be happening.
I will tell you this: there's a lot of people that are freaking out because I've had people call me and they'd be like, I've heard that the police department's threatening to say that if they catch you with vape carts, they're gonna you're gonna go to jail, and you know what I mean. And if if you get caught with these,
hysteria kind of thing.
Yeah, because of what's going on recently. But most of these cases have came from Juul. There's like 3 or 4 brands. It was all like nicotine major companies.
Oh, that were related to the deaths.
Yeah.
Yes, you're right.
So I just wanted to point that out. A lot of people think, and I think you still should do your research and make sure that the carts that you're smoking aren't just coming off the streets, because it's like anything, people, if they can make 50 instead of 10, they're going to make the 50, they're going to stretch it, the 50 carts.
Right.
You don't know what they're cutting that crap with. So just make sure that you deal with a reputable company or caregiver or supplier. That's all I'm saying.
Absolutely. Know what's in your product.
Know what's in there.
Yeah. Good point. And as far as like with your company, we're just talking about Savant seeds. This is, the next wave. And moving through. And I wanted to bring this up because there was actually a contract. I just heard about this. I can't confirm if it's true or not, but I did hear about it, so I'll share. Is that Green Peak, one of the big corporations here in Michigan, and in fact there was an article in the paper the other day about how Green Peak basically it currently holds 50% of the growing license for recreational marijuana in Michigan. Of course, that's the fact that there's only been 4 licenses issued and they hold 2 of them.
Yeah.
But they are definitely going to be one of the big players here in Michigan and one of the dominant players. I don't know that they're going to have 50% market share, but they're going to be big.
Yeah.
And they just recently partnered with DNA Genetics for their seed stock. So now, in spite of how you personally, I'm not a fan of Green Peak. I mean, or the model of the monopoly. You know what I mean? And DNA is something where 5 years ago I'd have said, yeah, DNA's got great stuff. And I don't know, in the last probably 3-4 years, maybe. I think, somewhere around there. Me, myself, and quite a few other caregivers, growers that I know, have said, even before I heard about this article, long before, that the quality had gone down with DNA.
I agree. I mean, I'm not trying to bash on nobody, right, because you do get, a lot of it is in your growers too. Like if they're just not properly doing their job, it's going to reflect on their... It
goes back, I think, to what you were just saying before I went into this, is that it's you putting that care into that product to make sure that everything that goes out the door has got that quality seal that you're looking to have represent you.
Exactly. And that's like, I can't sleep at night if I know I let something out the door that wasn't 100%.
Well, I think it also brings up the other important thing, is that when companies grow, or when caregivers grow into businesses or corporations, whatever it may be, you have growing pains.
Oh yeah, and you're going to have something jump ahead.
Trying to take things from 10 to 1,000 and trying to scale things is not easy. And sometimes maybe a company like DNA is an example possibly of when they started scaling
exploded.
The quality sort of suffers, and not to say that it couldn't come back or it couldn't be what it was. I mean, that was certainly something I enjoyed years ago, their genetics.
Yeah, they're still I look up to guys like DNA. They were some of my most... I've won many awards with some of their genetics, and I've gotten some of my biggest following through just some of their gassier strains, like the OG18 and the kosher. I mean, so definitely...
like you said, I'm personally a big
definitely
fan
all
of
the
DNA.
respect to them guys, but I do know what you're saying. I've been noticing it from a lot of bigger seed breeders. I've been having a lot of, hermaphrodites and I hate to bash on companies, like I say, but, there was this hype strain, Candy Rain. It's $500 a pack. I bought a pack because the breeder, he made the Sunset Sherbert. He's made all these really
made Sunshine
popular strains. So I'm like, I gotta see what this is all about. So I bought this pack. I only got one female out of 25 seeds that came in this pack. One female I could use, I mean?
Were you around back in the day when they had the purple elephant?
Yes.
You remember the purple?
I remember the purple elephant.
This was a strain that was being advertised a lot of the High Times magazines. If you guys remember, back then everything was 10 packs. And average was probably, maybe $300 for a good 10 pack.
Yeah.
And this purple elephant, I think it was like $1,200 or something like that for a pack of seeds. And, you know, some of us at the club at the time, you know, some of us were
Sprung
like, wow,
in,
could it be that good? Others looked at it and said, you know, you're out of your freaking mind. And then, you know, eventually somebody came in the club with their purple elephant.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I don't think they were really happy with it.
Well, I mean, like you say, here it goes back to it. The candy rain, you know, I paid $500 a pack. I got multiple herms. I got deformities. I went through all this trial and error. I mean, it happens. It does. But when you're talking on a scale like that, it's pretty disappointing.
Especially when you are charging somebody that kind of premium, you ought to have
$500 a pack. You know,
stuff together.
So my point is though, it to me. When it's in bloom, it smells sweet like candy. It does. It's kind of exotic. It grows purple. It's got that real good fiery look and everything. But when it's harvested, it's a pre-98 Bubba.
Oh, right on. Okay.
It tastes and smokes just like a pre-98 Bubba. I mean, not knocking anybody, but to me, you know, maybe the pheno that I had selected or the one that I had gotten out of that pack, that maybe that's the way it was.
That's
but I'm
saying,
you know, it was a little disappointing. So, you know,
sometimes those strains do that, you know, and like the terpenes take over and end up.
This is my whole thing though. If you pay that much and you're charging that much, someone has problems. Take care of them.
Oh yeah.
These guys didn't take care of anybody. I mean, I reached out to them and told them what happened, and even a guy like me in my position, you'd think they would want to make things right, but you know, not even a response.
Won awards.
So one thing that I will always do is have that customer service where, I mean, I'm going to be responsible for what I deliver, and then if there's an issue, I'm going to make it up to somebody. I'm not going to, you know.
And again, I think a lot of that has to do, Shaun, is scale. You know, because guys like you who, and same thing with DNA. A lot of those guys, they were connoisseurs. They are connoisseurs. They know what's good.
It's just
and then all of a
so
sudden,
big.
Yeah, you're
talking barrels of seeds.
Yeah, 1,000 seeds, 10,000 seeds. You're comfortable with it, and all of a sudden somebody says, "Hey, I need 10 million."
Yeah.
And it's, those things take time. And this is a plan. You can't rush it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It has its own cycle. All right, moving on here, I want to talk about a couple other things. I know that there was a couple places that were licensed in Flint for recreational, and I'll go ahead and retract that statement right now because it was not in Flint, folks. One was in Mount Morris. The other one's in Burton. Both of them are in Burton. Nature's Relief in Burton. The Barn, also in Burton, and Elite Wellness in Mount Morris. So no, Flint does not have an ordinance yet. They're working on it. So, and the reason I'm telling you is so that you don't call up City of Flint and say, "Hey man, how come they got a license?" So now you know. You can go to clickondetroit.com and get a full list of all licensed places if you like. And more power to you. All right, moving on here. One more thing I'll talk about recreational is the labor peace agreement. Have you heard about this with the unions? Essentially, Michigan's a right to work state, so you've got that going on. Obviously, we've got the unions going on. And it appears that they're trying to get in the permanent rules here for Michigan's recreational law that these businesses will have to have let me pull this up here, labor peace agreement as a part of their business practice. So, let me see if I can find that. It says the MRA, which is the Marijuana Regulatory Agency, is not moving away from the draft rule to mandate a labor peace agreement as a prerequisite for obtaining a pot license. So we'll see. It's not been permanently put in the rules yet, but it looks like that might be a part of the rules. And I think that most of the growers that I know, or most of the caregivers and people that work in the industry, whether they're working at the retail side or whatever, I don't think I think the majority of them kind of would like the idea of the union, protecting.
Yeah, you would think. I don't see any problem with it. I always want to do too many things, but I at one point wanted to do like a growers union, even with caregivers.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people come up and talk to me about that as well.
It would have been brilliant. It's just it takes a lot of resources, and
it does. And how many unions have you built? right?
Zero.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So
you know,
yeah,
it just never went into tuition. But I see it happening more and more now today, and I think it's a great thing. And I think that you know, my father was in the union with GM, and you know, not everybody has the best things to say about that, but I think the union was mainly always had the best outlook for their people, and that's the whole thing with this is making sure that these people that work for these commercial facilities are not getting, you know, underpaid and work too many hours and treated like crap, basically. You know, there's got to be some kind of criteria or some kind of way to regulate that, I think. I
would think so. I mean, I'm not necessarily for it, but I'm not necessarily against it either.
Yeah.
And you know, and I kind of have that feeling about unions in general, but that's my own personal opinion. I mean, obviously, people need to be treated with dignity and respect and so on. And then, you know, you obviously need to have the ability to choose whether you want to work there or not, or participate in something or not. So at any rate, we'll keep you updated on this, let you know how this goes. It's certainly interesting. I know that, I mean, the one thing I would definitely say that I'm a proponent of would be, you know, just the general consensus that everybody should be taken care of.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably have a policy instated anyway, regardless of all that, where it states we have to, you know, just a policy of how you have to treat your not your customers, your employees.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that's a good. You got to have something.
Very, very interesting. All right, I want to talk about a couple of other things this week. One of the things that Mr. Shaun Murray likes to do, 710 Savant, is help us celebrate the holidays and doing a toy collection. And how long have you been doing this, Shaun?
We started that in 2015.
So
was our first year.
Fourth or fifth year now?
Yeah. This is our, fifth year.
Fifth year. Basically collecting toys for kids, needy kids at Christmas time. This is something you've been doing, took up on your own. Tell us a little bit about what you did and
well, the first year we did it, we did it through the G3C was how we interacted a lot with the community. We did bring up.
By the way, we have to have some eggnog.
Some eggnog.
Christmas stories. Yeah,
Nice.
This is from the Growing Concern, by the way. This is the Culver's Farmers Market eggnog. It's pure crack.
Okay.
It's pure crack. Here you go. Look at that.
That is thick.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, I can't give you too much.
No, that'll just a little. But yeah,
John, you got to come in here and get some of this.
We were doing the toy drive through the club, and what we offered was bring in a $20 value toy, and we would give you a 0.5 gram of concentrates from my company for your donation, and that went pretty good. We got a good amount of toys. It just, you know, it's like the evolving process. I started doing math, and I'm like, man, I had spent way more money than I needed to spend to get just a small amount of toys. So I was like, this just isn't making sense.
Right.
So I had to do something.
Going broke and making two kids happy.
Yeah, I mean, you know, so then another year we just did drop locations. That didn't work out so well. I think it was people were they wanted to get something in return for giving, you know. So it was really slow. And me and Dan Squish, he always helps me out a lot. He vends a lot for me, and he's a lot of the big help with the cystic fibrosis fundraiser we do as well. Just because he's always up there, he's always there to help people and give out dabs and stuff.
Now this is basically, you know, Shaun set this up. He went around on his own intuition, set this up. It started out here, like I said, with the G3C, and then I know he went to other businesses as well, and just sort of became a point man in the medical marijuana community, if you will, to collect toys for kids. I mean, we all knew it was out there. You know what I mean? Toys-For-Tots isn't anything new. Everybody knows what that is. And but essentially, it's who you were working with.
And
you know, there. And
the first year we did it, they were kind of shocked that we were even doing it. You know, they were just like, you know, wow. That's nice. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
We wanted to be an official drop location. We took pride in wanting to be like an official drop location. Right. And they just told us, unfortunately, because it was a medical marijuana company, you know, we couldn't be in a drop location, but we could still collect toys. So we continued to collect toys through the years, and we've always promoted it. Hashtag Toys-For-Tots, use their logo. We kind of didn't see any harm in it. We thought, the toys are going to them.
It's not like you were selling something.
No,
it wasn't like,
and it is their
bring us a toy,
organization
you get a
that we were
doobie.
fundraising for,
Right.
So
right.
so we felt like we and if we wanted people to get involved.
Yeah, and it was like taking checks to Shaun on behalf of.
No money at all. It was
Right.
all toys,
Right.
only toys.
Exactly.
So
I just want people to know and understand exactly what you've done,
Yeah.
what you did, and so on. Because I know
no
that there's
cash donations or
all
nothing.
kinds of crazy, stupid rumors out there and whatever. But
Just strictly toys. We were always giving a product out of our own pockets, basically, to get these toys. And then
Right.
what we did this last year was we just took a percentage of our proceeds, which was $710. Bought toys. It was just easier. We got more toys that way. If I would have, did that as a giveaway like I did the years in the past, it would have cost me 3 times more.
sure, yeah.
So it just didn't make sense to give away something
Exactly.
to get something.
Right.
Anyways, we got a good amount of people to donate toys this year without having to give them anything. So I thought it was amazing, and
Yeah.
thanks to everybody that did bring in toys.
That's awesome.
Greg Joslin's has actually been going around and meeting with people if they can't make it to drop them
drop
off.
spot, yeah.
So
That's awesome.
It's been great. The whole community's been coming together, and
Well, we got a video here of you last year with your kids out doing the toy shopping, right?
yeah.
And John, can you pull it up for our viewers?
Yeah, do you want your mics up while it's running, or do you want to drop your mics?
You can leave them up.
Okay.
Leave 'em on,
All
that's
right,
fine.
all right.
Yeah, we're not gonna be able to see the videos.
Oh,
That's fine.
All right then. All right.
Just tell us. Envisioning it.
Get some toys?
Yes.
Up at Myers doing the Toys-For-Tots that we do every year. Trying to teach my kids that it's a good thing to give back. Alright, that looks nice. What do you got there, Cassie? You think the kids will like that?
Yeah.
We'll put it in there. Yeah, you like doing the Legos, don't you?
A ball guy.
Hello, Halo. Good night here at Myers. The kids got to help out. We got a lot of toys. We feel good. We feel like we're gonna get a lot of kids some toys this Christmas. That's what it's all about, spreading positivity in the community.
Wow. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Kids love doing that. That was like the best thing they've ever done. They were so happy to do that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they were.
Not just doing it, but teaching your kids.
I mean, when I was a kid, where we went was the VFW hall, and they would pick. If you were a boy, you got one boy gift.
Oh, right on, yeah.
And there was a pile of, it was just listed boys and listed
Sure.
girls. And that was really cool, to be able to go up there and do that. And, we were we didn't have it really all that good when we were kids. So and my kids got it great. They got everything they could ever ask for. So I just wanted to show them, that there's people out there that need that. And there's kids that don't have toys. And they really, they enjoyed doing that. It was really cool to
That's
do
awesome.
that. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, we had some controversy here this year because, like you'd said, with Toys-For-Tots, we weren't allowed to be a official drop
location.
because they're medical marijuana, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So anyways, we had an incident this last week where we actually had Toys-For-Tots contact the G3C with concerns in regards to their licensing. In other words, us using the name Toys-For-Tots as a drop location. I think you had some posts online, Shaun, same sort of thing.
Yeah, there
You
were
had posted
hashtags and
a couple of, not like we even used their logo. We just simply wrote words,
Well, there was their train logo on some of the posts, and that
But
was
anyways, we're using the name Toys-For-Tots on your material to help promote the obvious, collection of donations for Toys-For-Tots. But Toys-For-Tots apparently has real strict controls on their name usage, and decided that we could not be a location nor use their name for our for Shaun and our holiday collections.
You know.
So, hey, John, do you have the post on there? All right. So, we got a little picture here. Somebody this is, to the tune of, when we weren't allowed to do this because we're a medical marijuana place.
Yeah.
So, I guess in part that's partially true.
It's pretty much true.
And then also in part, but the reason that that incident occurred was also because of their licensing. In part.
Yeah.
And I guess I don't want to pick on Toys-For-Tots because they do a good thing.
Exactly.
I guess I would pick on their attorneys. I'd pick on society, the way that we are in having to protect and monetize everything that we do. The guy who came down to the club to get the stuff, he wasn't wanting to be there. The police that came with him had to accompany him. They didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like it was police initiated. And
No.
the officer he didn't want to be there either. And he was very concerned that we were going to be upset.
Yeah,
and,
they felt like asshats,
which rightfully, we had a reason to be upset. It's a bit of a kick in the face.
I just feel like they could have contacted me, waited to hear back from me.
Absolutely.
I could have brought them the toys, or and then they seized the toys. There's rumors going around. Is he even giving the toys to him? I mean, come on. I mean, what would I do with these damn toys?
Right. You got
I like toys. I mean, like the adult toys.
710 Craigslist, baby.
4-wheelers and dirt bikes and stuff like that, But anyway, yeah, it was very...
You wanted those Furbies.
Oh, man.
But unfortunately, you're right. I mean, it's just...
And I had people... My phone was blowing up. I was busy at work. Dan was hysterical, like, man, you gotta, there's cops are up here, they're confiscating the toys, and I'm like, what? I'm like, what do you mean? What's going on? And well, apparently you're not a drop location. Well, I know I'm not a drop location. I've never, because of what I do.
Right.
And I'm like, man, I just, why couldn't they have just reached directly to me, or they found the ad or the post on Facebook.
Right.
I don't have anybody on there saying, "Hey, this is Toys-For-Tots. We're trying to contact you."
No, he's not running.
It was very odd the way that they had went about it and how. And then they said that they had discovered the ad that morning. So like literally, they had waited no time. They had seen the ad or the post. They had made a phone call to the police officer, and they were up there within an hour. I mean, it was ridiculous.
Straight up refugees.
I kind of felt like maybe there's some other stuff going on in Toys-For-Tots. I heard there's been some boxes being stolen and some other things that have been happening. And maybe there's...
Their response is overreactive in our opinion because we haven't seen other horrible things that may have
exactly, and that could be what's going on or why we got red flagged. But, we've been doing it for years. We've always hashtagged them. We've always used their logo.
Absolutely.
It's never been an issue. And we were... not even recreational when we were doing this.
Right, we've been doing this for a while. You've been at this for 5 years.
And I asked them, I was like, well, will you work with a marijuana company in the future? And they said not until all 50 states are legal.
So this is one of those things that they had to do or felt they needed to do from the top down. Attorneys up the wazoo kind of thing. So nobody's really the bad guy in this, and we're all sort of walking around with egg on our face, if you will, because it's the way that we live nowadays. Everybody's, like I said, got to protect their dollars, got to protect their name, blah blah blah, and then there's bad asshats out there who do incredibly terrible things and then make people have knee-jerk reactions because of it. So, but we're still gonna. Shaun's still doing this.
Yeah, we're still doing it. We're just not gonna use their name.
We're not gonna use their name. So I took the liberty, Shaun, of coming up with some alternate possible names.
Okay.
For some charities out there.
Awesome.
I thought maybe I'd run them past you and get your opinion.
Yeah, I'm down to hear them.
All right, so the first one I got, I thought this one was nice, and I got this from my daughter. Blessings for Babies.
Oh, nice? I like that. Nice? I really like that.
I like that. I had the basic Christmas for kids. I'm not that creative. Christmas for kids.
Yeah.
Doesn't sound quite as good though, does it?
Christmas for kids.
Blessings for babies.
Blessings for babies.
Hold on, I got another one for you. I didn't write this one down because it was a little bit longer. Toys for underfunded children and kids. I thought maybe... Do you like that one?
Oh, man, I don't know if that one would pass.
You don't know what...
That one might be.
Toys for underfunded children and kids. I don't know. I thought it had a nice ring to it. I got another one though. If you didn't like that one, this one's a little longer, but I'll read it for you. It's kind of hard to read. It says, educationally produced seasonal toys, especially intended, nostalgic, diverse, inclusive, decontaminated, non-flammable toys. Kindness is long-lasting. Help ensure merriness, supporting every litigious freedom. What do you think about that, Shaun? Let's get that in there.
Oh, man.
Just a couple ideas for those holiday
I like them, though.
charities out there.
And, you know, in next year, maybe we just do, you know, I'd like to do like a party or something, and everybody that comes has to bring a toy or something. Maybe that would get more. You know what I mean? Because then they're getting something, and you know,
Party for pets.
Party for peds. There you go.
I'd like to know this. Okay, they're saying that the Toys-For-Tots people, the attorneys are saying they want to wait till marijuana is legal in all 50 states. Well, are they aware that even though prohibition is repealed way back then, there are some places in the South, some counties that are still dry.
We
So
have
I wonder
dry
if that's
areas
problematic.
in
Yeah, we should bring that up, right?
Yeah.
I agree. I think that John's got a point there. All right, I wanted to cover one other thing, and we've been talking about rec a lot on this episode, but not that it's a bad thing, it's a good thing. But we are medical marijuana, and I wanted to remind everybody why it's a good reason to be a patient. So I thought I'd kind of wrap up the show this day with basically our top reasons to be a patient.
I like that, because most people are they're like, oh, well, it's rec now, I can grow 12 plants, I don't need my card, and you know, they're missing out on the benefits of being a patient.
I think so, and I think a lot of folks don't know all of the ins and outs yet. So here we go. Number one reason I have is the zero tolerance law. All right, Shaun, you're probably familiar with this, I imagine. Zero tolerance, everybody is. Michigan.
Yeah.
Basically means, folks, that you have no reason to have any marijuana, THC, in your system at all. It is, our tolerance level for that and driving is 0. All right? So, the medical exception that's carved out for you because of the medical marijuana law says that you can have marijuana in your system. It doesn't say that you can operate your vehicle while you're high. It doesn't say that at all. But what it does say is that you can have marijuana in your system through a whole bunch of different legal words, blah, 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 blah. But what it does is it's providing you just a thin layer of protection from Michigan's zero tolerance law.
Well, yeah, it takes so long to get out of your system. I mean, even if you smoke 2 days ahead, and then, you know, they're like, oh, well, you got it in your blood.
And they say that they have these swabs that can kind of tell within a few hours, so on and so forth. But we know that people's metabolism will impact these results. And so why be a victim?
Yeah.
Why be a victim? We're not advocating that anyone drives high or impaired, but we are saying protect yourself. Protect yourself from a unjust accusation. The next thing I would say, besides Michigan's zero tolerance law, reason to be a patient, is that you can have more weed. Like, that should probably be the number one reason, actually.
Yeah, I mean, you would think.
Like, just because you can have more. So, recreationally, you can possess up to 10 ounces at home and up to 2.5 ounces on yourself if you're walking around outside your property. You can have 15 grams of concentrate. So, anybody over 21 can have that. They can grow 12 plants at home. But then if you're a medical marijuana patient, you can have 2.5 more ounces.
Yeah.
You could grow 12 more plants.
And it's your access to a lot of these places, you know, clubs,
That's actually my next point, is more selection.
dispensaries. And
More
I mean, well,
selection.
people with rec can still get access to these dispensaries, but only rec dispensaries.
That's right. And right now, while you're waiting for the state to open up these places around the state, you have a very limited selection of where you can go to. Having your patient card gives you instant access to all kinds of different
clubs, places. Caregivers, anything, pretty much. Yeah.
So more selection, I'd say that's reason number 3. Number 4, better protection out of state. A lot of states don't have medical marijuana, or they don't have recreational marijuana. This isn't going to be a get out of jail free card, but it definitely could help absolve or ease some of those legal issues if you did have your patient card and were facing an issue with law enforcement regarding your medical marijuana use. So out-of-state protection. better pricing would be my next one.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're not going to have to pay as many fees or taxes, and we're already seeing that there is a definite, whatever you want to call it, market adjustment for the pricing of cannabis right now. It's supply and demand, as Shaun said. It's exactly what it is. You're going to get scalped a bit right now. If you're a patient, you shouldn't have to be dealing with that.
Yeah. Most caregivers are, it's just a certain rate, you know.
Absolutely. And the other thing I'd like to point out, and I know a lot of folks don't view it this way, but really, being a patient, the fee to the state to be a patient is $20 a year. It's $40 and it's 2 years. So do the math, it's $20 a year.
Yeah.
Right? So that's not a bad deal. How long is it going to take you to save $20 being a patient versus just being a rec consumer?
Right. Your first purchase.
Yeah.
Pays for that card. So,
right.
Yeah.
You know, so I believe the grant, I heard that quarters were going for $70, in excess of $70 in some places, for recreational.
Yeah.
And I know
and that's probably on the cheaper end. I mean, I hate to say it, they're taxing. They're taxing.
Somewhere in the upwards of 100. I was trying to be nice.
Yeah. I think 60, 70 on a quarter, you're getting a deal.
And I heard a lot of places were that for an eighth, actually.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I can see that.
But at any rate, yes, you're definitely going to save some money being a patient, no doubt about it. And it's probably going to be that way for quite a while. The doctor fee is now lower at most places. A lot of places are doing doctor fees now for under $100. And the fee to the state is only $40 for 2 years. So $20 a year, no caregiver fee, no fees for changing your caregiver, for losing your card and needing it to be replaced.
Did they change that? I thought it was a $10.
Changed all of that.
Nice.
No fees for adding or replacing a caregiver. So a lot of the fees have been removed.
It's all digitalized now, you would think, anyway. It's less paper trail and
I
stuff.
think that, they finally did the math and realized that this department's making millions of dollars. We need to, maybe adjust some
Step
of these
it up
fees.
a little bit.
We can't quite scalp them that bad. Or, how come Lara made $20 million last year? So, hey, Shaun, thank you very much for being
thanks for having me, man.
Coming in, for doing what you do. You said in part of the show here today, you're taking your caregiver business to the next level and going there, and it shows. I mean, you're taking that professionalism that's required in this business, and that's what a lot of caregivers need to do is take it on a professional level, whether they be staying at that level or moving to the next, it doesn't matter, but presenting themselves correct.
Because you're essentially like, you're not a doctor. That's where the Savant thing comes in. It's like being the best at what you do. And, you got people underneath you that depend on you, whether they tell you that or whether they say that. When they're in medical need, if you're giving them some garbage or something that's going to hurt them, or potentially in the over extended period of use hurt them or anything like that, I mean, how could you live with yourself? So why wouldn't you go the extra level to be as professional and as thorough and as cleanly and everything as you could be as a caregiver?
I couldn't
no
agree
difference
more.
than as a company.
And I think also being a good representative of the business with what you do with the Toys-For-Tots, or we'll call it Blessings for Babies right now, but
yeah, we try to inspire. We're from a pretty low income community, where the struggle is real, and and people have a hard time probably coming up with toys for their own kids a lot of times. So I understand where, if you can give, you give, and if you can't, you can't. That's the kind of the way things are. But we always just try to help out and do whatever we can do. Even the small things make a difference. I mean, if we only raise 5 toys, there's 5 kids getting a toy that we're gonna get a toy before.
That's
so
right. That's right.
I feel good doing it, and I feel like we can get community involvement, and if we can, then that's a good thing. So
awesome. I couldn't agree more, Shaun.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being on the show.
Appreciate
Thanks for doing
it.
what you do.
I always, like I say, the G3C is my home, and anything that I can do to help or be a part of it, I'm all for it. So.
We're glad to have you. We're glad to have all of you guys at the G3C. Thanks for being with us this year. Thanks for being a member. Thanks for being a part of the club, part of the movement. Thanks for watching the podcast here. Definitely appreciate it. Catch us again probably after the first of the year. We'll be back and we'll be looking forward to it. All right, you guys take care, and we'll see you.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Oh, looks like you left me some goodies. Alright. Oh. Oh, that's some good eggnog. Oh my goodness. Oh, excuse me. Sorry about that. Thought we were done filming. Didn't realize you were still there. Well, since I've got you here, I guess I'd like to share a little something with you. You know, it is the end of the year. It's our last podcast, 2019. And I prepared a little something, maybe a little something here. Let's see if I could share this with you, a little fireside chat. You know, I last year did a long speech in front of the club, and I know it took a long time and everything. It's kind of a legal dissertation that we got from our attorney about the night before Christmas, but I promised I wouldn't do that again. And I know you probably got things to do. You probably want to dance the night away. I don't know. But I just wanted to say thank you. I wanted to say how much I appreciate you, tell you, take a minute to tell you just how much it means to me that you choose to be a part of the club, that you put yourself on the line, you show up every day, and you make this a part of your life. I know I've got my dreams, but you choose to be a part and make that happen. And this is kind of to me like a 10th anniversary. 10 years, you try to start a business and first try to make it, then you try to make it to Christmas, and then all of a sudden you look up and 10 years later, 10-year anniversary. Pretty crazy. I guess I would say that you should give yourselves a round. Give yourself some applause. Give yourself a pat on the back, because 10 years is a long time, 10 years in this industry is like 100 years. Things change fast. I mean, people that you know come and go, and it's just amazing. It goes by so fast. I can't believe it's gone by that quick. But you guys, you have a lot of experience now. You guys are the true leaders, and you should take pride in that. You are you're industry experts. You are. 10 years is a long time for our business. You know that we're now over 42,500 members. Genesee 3C has generated over $1 million in tax revenue since our inception. We've donated over $100,000 in charities to kids who need it, families in need, charities. And we employ over 22 people. It's an amazing industry that changes so fast, and yet we haven't. And in spite of all that consistency, you still have to explain to your friends what a compassion club is. But every time the law changes, somebody asks, "Hey, what's up with you guys now?" Nothing different. Does anybody know what's significant about December 5th, 1933? I'll wait. No? It's when Prohibition ended. People like to compare our industries, and to be fair, they are comparable. But there are some differences. Prohibition previously existed, was pushed underground, and then sprang back up. Our industry didn't exist prior to Prohibition. At least not the way it does today. Our industry was born in the backyard, grew up in the closet, matured in the black market, foreign coffee shops, Wham Bam Amsterdam, the back alleys, the truck stops with the magazine racks, the small hydro stores you had to drive 2 hours to, pickup truck and tarps over the back of your stuff. You couldn't drive 55 because that'd be suspicious. Did you know that in Michigan, 3 companies control all the distribution of alcohol? Talk about running with the devil. Does anyone remember what happened in 2008? Recession, right? Can anybody tell me what industry saw explosive growth in the past 10 years in Michigan? That's right, cannabis industry. You took on the pioneering spirit, and you did it in a way that most refused to do, which is everybody else versus you first. We chose to do it equally, equal for all. We chose a level playing field without a pyramid in it. We chose compassion with capitalism. We can have the best of both worlds. In this cannabis industry, it has been not always easy. We've been ridiculed for our model, copied but never duplicated, threatened, lied to, sued, vandalized, and now we face new challenges with recreation, new rumors, new outlaws, new regulatory departments, new cannabis wannabe corporate kings. But we will continue doing what we've always done from the beginning, following our law of 2008, focusing on compassion, quality, compliance, and affordability. The end of Prohibition does not present problems. It presents promise and opportunity. And we have the ability to expand, educate, and to continue to advocate for the patient and caregiver's rights. So, right here, right now, it's what's happening. Let's raise our glasses. Cheers. Happy holidays.